XIlyana here, environmentalist, human rights activist, LGBTQIA icon, and a veteran that suffers from PTSD from military sexual trauma. Today is the day of the apartment inspection. I have taken the time to write a sign that says you will be recorded if you enter the premises. I think it's you will be recorded if you walk in. It's a lovely little sign. So that's on the door. So I don't feel safe because I've had women try to break into my apartment. I don't care if these women work for this building or not. I do not feel safe. I will call the police if anything goes wrong, and I'm gonna live stream this on YouTube just so that there's a record. That's how we're gonna do things now. Because I don't have my disability benefits where I would be able to live by myself and not have to go through this. So we're going to do this with the world watching because the United Nations Human Rights Commission is supposed to be investigating the United States for war crimes against their citizenry. It's not just that I was sexually abused by Master Sergeant Miranda of the United States Air Force. It's the fact that the abuse continues. And yes, it is abuse to have women enter your private space and then you can't do anything about it because it's not your space. If I had my disability benefits, I could live in a house, I could live in a tent, but I wouldn't have 2, possibly 3 women coming into my apartment with no other purpose than to trigger my PTSD. Yes, it's a room inspection, but I did a room inspection recently. They're doing a second one for their own purposes. That's fine, that's fine. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have everything recorded. So when you walk in, you're gonna be on your best behavior. I'm gonna be on our best behavior, and we're just gonna get through this, okay? That's what's gonna happen today. So in the meantime, we will wait. We will talk about some of the issues that I think deeply about, and we'll see what happens. But like I said, I don't trust Americans after being sexually abused. I don't trust Americans in this apartment building because they have attacked my dog. They have menaced me. And yes, I consider that menacing when women who don't even live here come to my apartment and bother me. Hello there, Yadov. Welcome to my channel. Today is a super stressful day, super stressful. But somehow I'm just gonna get through this. I'm not normally this stressed, but with everything that's been going on with me, I have every right to say I want to be left alone. And I don't understand what's taken the Department of Veteran Affairs so long to just give me my disability benefits. Thank you, Yadov. Thank you so much. I appreciate the good intentions, but I'm not dealing with rational people. I'm not dealing with honorable American citizens. Here I am trying to just do everything properly, and it's just too stressful for me with my PTSD. I don't like rap music. I really don't. I like country music. I like bluegrass. I like singer-songwriter. I adore anyone who creates their own music. I wish I composed more music, but you can't be talented at everything. So here we are. We are going to sit here and wait and just get through it. I had to spend the entire morning cleaning the apartment, and it was so stressful on my body because my body is it's just out of shape. I don't walk anywhere, I don't go anywhere, I don't do anything. And plus I live in Los Angeles, so you would think that would make you want to do more. It makes you want to do less. I normally go out in a hazmat suit because I live in Los Angeles and this place is disgusting. But today, because I was really crushed for time and I was just, can I just get through it? It was late. It was way too late. So I go out barefaced, you know, legs showing, everything. Oh, by the way, let me just show off my outfit. While I'm here, I might as well. I don't even know how to do this. All right, do a bit of that. Come on. All right, let's see. Try this. This is what I am wearing today. My associate Clint Gage usually wears armor when he does his shows. I just wear fashion when I'm about to go through something completely traumatic. Wowie. Hoping you have a wonderful day. I'm hoping so too. I really am. I just want this to be over with because I live in this community-based housing situation. It's not like a regular apartment building. In a regular apartment building, you only really see your apartment manager if there's a pipe burst or, there's an emergency. Otherwise, they ignore you and you ignore them, and that's just wonderful. But because I live in this community-based housing thing, it's every 2 to 3 months, they got to poke their little nosy noses into my place and stress me out. And it's not just the fact that they're being nosy about it, it's the fact that I live my life because I have PTSD from military sexual trauma without women as much as possible. I try to make myself as, you know what, I support women's rights, I support women artists, women music, I support women. But because I was sexually abused by a female master sergeant, fuck all y'all. Handle your own business and we're going to go our separate ways. I know that as a transgender person, it's, well, I mean, aren't you transitioning into a woman? It's like, no, I'm transitioning into a fucking goddess. That's the difference. I recognize my own divinity. I am not trying to be a woman. I may have feminine characteristics. I may live a life more akin to what a woman would, but I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to associate with women. At this point, it's, I admire all of you from afar, but come close to me and go fuck yourself. So we're going to get through this somehow. It's super stressful. Just the amount of stress that I'm under right now, my heart is beating so fast. And there's nothing that I can do. You start the day and they're just banging on doors and ringing doorbells the entire day. It is such a fucking pageant. Let's just call it what it is. It's a fucking pageant. These people are just annoying me. Just annoying. This LA thing is terrible because I'm being manipulated into staying in because it's too stressful to go out. But then, even if I did go out, where would I go? What would I do? Go to the movies? Really? I'm going to spend money that I don't have because I am poor, for I be so impoverished. So, why would I do that? I did that for my birthday, and after that, I said, "Yeah, I'll hold off on going until something really important comes out." So I went to go see Captain America: Brave New World. I'm still glad that I saw it. I kind of wish that it was The Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2, because everything that they were talking about were issues that needed more development. I mean, when you talk about how people are being manipulated by their cell phones, they're being manipulated by the television, the internet in general is just a giant mindfuck. You need to let people know that. I mean, they do, which is why I didn't go see Thunderbolts. I wanted to. I really do. I still want to. I feel bad about it. But like I said, for I be so impoverished, sacrifices had to be made. So I didn't go to that particular film. But I still donate money to Marvel. I have a Marvel subscription, but I consider it donating money to Marvel. It's like, you don't get my eyeballs, but you get my support. That's the only thing I can really say. Epic Breadwinner. Hello, welcome to my stream. So today I have a room inspection because I live in community housing, and every 2 to 3 months they pretty much take it upon themselves to, just come into my apartment. And if I was in a regular apartment, the only reason your landlord comes in to your apartment is because they need to repair something or assess something and then send someone to go repair it. But that's not the case here. The case is they will knock on your door, ask if they can come in, but they will be coming in. And I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. A female master sergeant sexually abused me and sent me to the hospital. Because of that, I don't want anything to do with women. I don't want anything to do with them. I support them from afar. I have my female heroes, which I look up to, my heroines, and that's just where they are. They're there, I'm here. My landlord is female. I didn't want to live here. I really didn't. I wanted to live on the beach. I wanted to live on the beach in Santa Monica. But no, they said, yeah, you're going to live on a reservation, pretty much. That's what you're going to do. Hello, Saffron. Hello. You missed a great music experience. I did a sing-along, I guess is the best way, because it's not really karaoke. It's just sing-alongs at this point. But I did one recently, and it was so cool. And I want to get back to it, but I've just been so stressed. No, you don't have to apologize. You don't. I should be apologizing to you because I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, and I should be a performer. I should lift people's spirits. I have a talent for singing, I think. Maybe I don't. But either way, I have a smile on my face when I sing, and other people appreciate that. No, Epic Breadwinner, it's okay to talk about, because I'd rather talk about it. I'd rather talk about what's been going on, because I've always had the mindset of, if there's something wrong, I'll call the police. Or if I go outside my apartment, I'll just think I'm a regular person. And no, I'm not a regular person. Am I a celebrity? No, I wouldn't consider myself a celebrity. I make music. That doesn't make me a celebrity. But I'm not a regular person because regular things do not happen to me. Extraordinary things happen to me. Extraordinary things like I sit on a bus and people grab my crotch. That's an extraordinary thing. I sit on a bus and a woman harasses me, follows me all around the bus, and keeps lunging at me. That's an extraordinary thing. Oh, and having a neighbor sick their animal on my service animal. That's an extraordinary thing. But these extraordinary things keep happening to one person, me. So I can't be a regular person. I cannot. Other people in this apartment building, they just have it as it's an inspection day. I took care of what I need to take care of. Come right in. Me, I have military sexual trauma. I don't trust anybody. So if you come into my apartment building, you are being recorded. And at this point, that's going to be really interesting because it is summer. I am horny as fuck. I don't care. I'm going to try and get laid this summer because it has been way too long. And I am hot. I am attractive. There has to be someone willing to love me for at least 2 to 3 hours at a time, consistently. So I'm going to try and find that. And I'm going to have to tell them the same exact thing. If you enter into my building, if you enter into my room, you will be recorded. And therefore, I'm going to put it all on fucking OnlyFans. I mean, it's not as if I'm going to be playing Prince Charming anytime soon. I'm not. I'm just not. So if that's the case, fuck it. I'm going to put all my stuff on OnlyFans. Because that's where gay people have gone. You keep saying, where are all the gay guys in the clubs and the bars? It's like, why the fuck would you do that? I mean, if you really want to, go right ahead. But there's a whole community of sexually liberated men and women who have taken to the internet and said, my pleasure is your pleasure and your pleasure pays me. So we're all going to get together, we're all going to get tested, and we're all going to fuck each other. And we're going to have a nice little tight community, and you're going to be able to review their performances in past shows. You could never do that before. You used to just say, oh, well, James is good in bed, or Darlene over there, she's really good at anal. Okay, you used to have to whisper about that. Now it's, you can watch that video yourself and see how she likes it or see how he likes it and then have sex. Just request, hey, I'm a OnlyFans creator, or you're an OnlyFans creator. Want to get together for the night? And guess what? That's a pay-per-view event. Like, that is the kind of life that people have dreamed about for years. Ever since the hippie movement, you thought that you were sexually liberated. It's like, no, you weren't. Now we're sexually liberated. So regular doesn't fit into most people's lives. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it is. But the bad things that keep happening to me, I have to just change my life completely because I shouldn't have to go through any of it. I really shouldn't. And I shouldn't just be a passive spectator to people abusing me. I'm being abused by this apartment building. I'm clearly being abused. So, as I said, today we are taking off the mask of this organization which has tortured me these past 2-3 years. Yes, I have an apartment. Yes, I cook my own meals and I have a bed currently with a dog on it. Look at that. Look at that lazy white girl. What you doing there? Hey. I love her though. Hi Clint, how are you? What is up, my friend? Today is the day of the room inspection. I put a sign on my door that says, if you enter, you are being recorded. You are being recorded if you walk in. It's a sign right on the door. Also, I took pictures of it, time-stamped. So assuming the wind doesn't just rip it off, there was a sign there. And I'll check when they leave too, that sign was there. And assuming all of them speak English, you're about to enter into this apartment building and enter into my apartment, they can read that sign, because I am live streaming this room inspection because I don't trust anybody. I really don't. They're entering into a veteran's apartment with PTSD from military sexual trauma. I won't start no shit, and there won't be no shit. But if there is some shit, I get to have it documented, and hopefully somebody on here calls 911 if there's an issue, because that's how things are now. Clint, I wish I had stronger tape. I just took the sign. We are about to enter your building. And I said, well, no, you're about to read this sign, because I take the sign and then I just flipped it over and wrote on it, you will be recorded if you walk in. Are you in America? Sometimes I wonder. I really do wonder if I live in America, because I've never thought of this country as just complete oppression, because this is a workaround for search and seizure. This is a workaround for search and seizure. They put you in a bad neighborhood. They surround you with bad people. They surround you with people who either are drug dealers or consort with drug dealers or have drug problems, possibly. I can't say that definitively, but it's a sketchy vibe. Can I say that? Can I say there's a sketchy vibe? So because of that, they might be legally inclined to do searches. Might be. But that's not my vibe. That's not my issue. But that's not how the government works. The government functions by poking its nose wherever you allow it to. Now, when you do a live stream, it's the same exact thing. I mean, you can look all around my apartment every time I do a live stream. So it's not exactly as if I'm a private person. I'm not a private person. I'm a person who streams. However, I'm a person who streams, for now, alone. And I want that respected. So this is teaching them. A Viking cowboy. Take that with pride. Take that with pride, because the Viking part means that you're in touch with your ancestry, and the cowboy part means that you are a Southern gentleman who knows the value of respect and treating others with kindness. That is a huge honor bestowed upon you. Don't take that as something offensive. Clint, take that with pride. Consensual privacy. That's how I operate. You know, I am actually going to purchase more signs. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, I have military sexual trauma, and for the longest time, I've just shut down emotionally, physically, and also sexually. I am an attractive person, and I don't talk to guys anymore. I don't talk to any guys. It's Pride Month, and I don't talk to guys. What is going on? Like, I let the fear of being raped by a woman stop me from having passionate love with another man, fuck that noise. I'm going to pick up my self-esteem and go get laid. Why? Because I deserve to be happy. So I don't know. I think I'm actually going to go that OnlyFans route. I'm just going to have sex on camera, do everything on camera, because when you stop filming, you allow these disgusting people to do creepy shit to you. And then you have no way to back yourself up and say, okay, well, I defended myself, or that person attacked me. Like, this has gotten to a legal standpoint. I've been a victim of violent hate crimes because of Los Angeles. I have been a victim of harassment and menacing by the city of Los Angeles. It is what it is. I'm going to have to record everything from now on. Oh, Clint. Oh, Clint, you're that nice person for me. For what reason you have a British accent? I don't know, because my father immigrated here and he had a British accent. Of course. Where else would you learn a British accent that strong? You wouldn't learn that off the street. You couldn't even get that from the television. You had to get that from your father. Oh, and technically my mother too, because by the time she had married him and lived with him for years, she spoke British English as well. So my whole family did, except for my sister. I don't know what happened. I think she's adopted. Americans don't have a problem with British people, though. Some of you people on this channel do, which is so funny, because here you are, you kicked the British out of America and started your own country, and have always had this, well, we showed them, but as soon as a British person shows up on your television screen or on a movie screen, guess what? You pant and salivate because your master is there. How much American pride do you really have if every leading actor in a television series is really a Brit? You don't even hire your own people. American jobs first. They took our jobs. I'm just like, really? Really? Which jobs? I mean, Thor could have been anyone. He could have even been Norwegian. You chose an Australian for that one. And Chris Hemsworth was the clear right choice. Clear the right choice for that. Especially when he took his shirt off. Man, that man's fit. But if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. I guess it's the nicer way to say it. You're British. I'm British. We can be British together. Yay. Although, I can't really say that. I mean, I was born here. I just have my dad, and my dad was a Brit. So I'm like a half Brit, but a full American. Like, I could run for the president, but I would still have to speak in this English accent because it's all I know. Like, I don't know. I mean, someone could try and teach me how to speak American. It doesn't really stick. Like, I can do it for a joke here and there, or when I'm singing a country song. I don't know. It's not how I normally speak. It's not how I was raised. You're Scottish. Well, deal with. Fair amen. Yeah, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is an Australian actor. People forget that, just all of your favorite actors, that they're not American. I think even Keanu Reeves, isn't he Canadian? Like Ryan Reynolds, you know, your favorite character, Deadpool, is a Canadian. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, Americans don't even want to look at Americans on a television screen. That should tell you everything about this country. He turned into an alcoholic for probably several reasons, but mostly it doesn't help that he's in this Hollywood world. This Hollywood world is very difficult. It is really, really difficult because there's so much pressure to do movies, there's so much pressure to do press. You don't have any time for yourself. You certainly don't have any privacy. You certainly do not. Clint, you do make an interesting point. Although I do like Sam Rockwell, I do like Emma Stone, like American actors that just are amazing. I mean, true, you know, they do slightly silly roles, but they do it so well. I mean, Emma Stone in The Favorite is amazing. Emma Stone in Zombieland, amazing. Easy A, amazing. I'm a huge fan of Emma Stone. Cruella. Tell me another person who could have done Cruella quite as well as Emma Stone. No, no. I think that, you know, she did a spot on job, and I like her. I like her in that. Denzel Washington, another great actor. But you look at the other side of it, where the HBO did a series called The Wire, and it's set in Baltimore. And the lead antagonist, Idris Elba, he's not even American. And then the lead detective in that show, he's not American either. Now, you can cast who you want, and by the way, when you put the two of them together, it's kind of funny to look at, because I'm just like, you're not American, you're both speaking American, and I know the two of you are Brits. You know, I haven't seen anything from Jenny Ortega. I hear a lot about her, but I haven't seen anything with her in it. I don't know. I've recently given up on television and cinema altogether, so I don't know. If I ever get back to it, I will give her a chance. I think that's fair. Wow, some people are just born rude. Wow, that was an amazing thing to write. Like, you could have picked anybody on YouTube, and you come into my channel and you say that. Thank you, Clint. Thank you so much. But this is the truth. This is the truth of the world that we live in. Timothy is in, you know, his particular world, saying Idris Elba should be James Bond. I think so too. I see no reason not to. I mean, he is just a more slick version of what Daniel Craig did. Idris Elba is just smooth. and so sexy. And he's on my list of would. Absolutely would. Keanu Reeves is on a strange journey. I love his film choices. I really do. He's always he has an Asian background, obviously, but most of his films has always been, I don't know how he manages to do it so well. He does this so well, but he always plays the same character in a way of Western person who embraces Asian culture. John Wick was about a Western person who embraced Asian culture. I mean, true, it's about a dog too. But the beginning of that film, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. I mean, that film came out a while ago. But I don't know how they did it, because that's a huge, huge continuity issue. But he was working for like a mob or mafia or yakuza or something like that. And he fucked up a job. And he was punished by removing a pinky. And they show that scene in the beginning of the film. But I don't know how they do that in all, because he's done at least like what, 3, 4 films? Maybe 5, because Ballerina just came out. How does he keep that in the film? And I don't know, does anyone even care at that point? All right, let me go through some of this. Tom Cruise isn't, I usually don't talk about Tom Cruise because I read his biography. I don't know how his biography ended up in my hands. I mean, that was just weird. And I think I have his biography. But I do see him as yet another one of those people who started out in Hollywood and people were telling you, oh, do this movie, do that movie. But at a certain point, he started making his own choices, being his own person. There's something you can respect about that. And I know I really shouldn't talk about the whole Scientology thing. But, I mean, if you live in California, you know. All right. Clint, that's actually an interesting thing. The whole vibe of James Bond has always been, it's kind of retro, but with super advanced modern tech. Oh, I know who you're referring to. Taron Egerton. He's so cute. He's definitely one of those, I wish I learned Welsh just so I could speak it to him, or find me a Welshman who looked like him, because he's so dreamy. And especially in The Kingsman. In The Kingsman, when he took his shirt off and he's like all wet and slicked up, I'm like, God, yes. But he does have a certain sophistication to him, which is so weird, because When he started out in film, he played the most scally little sportsman ever. And now you think of him and you think of him from Red Carpet. And it just goes to show you can put anyone in a tux and it just makes you think they're sophisticated. That was never James Bond's like MO. James Bond's MO has always been, well, the evildoer always gets undone by their own evil. You know, you have the laser that blows up, or you know, it's always a giant explosion. It's never, you know, like a little quiet thing. I don't know. Maybe that's just always the case. It's just something I noticed. Stone Cold Steve Austin. They tried that. You see, this is when you know that you have watched way too many movies. But when you say Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I think he's in The Expendables, I think so, because everyone's in The Expendables at this point. And the movies keep getting made, so someone's going to see it. I've never seen any of those, but it's always been an amazing thing where they just said, well, who could we get? Who could we add? It's just like, you already have like 20 people who are the most elite people ever. And I laugh, but isn't that kind of the point? Like, I play video games, and when I have a cool squad to go fuck shit up with, I am happy. I am happy. And I always like it when I can add more, which is, I mean, I play Monster Hunter Wilds. I love Capcom. Capcom is such a weird company. Wow, they're a weird company. I love them though. I really do. I normally play with the AI though. I don't play with other people. But the whole idea behind the Expendables of, you know, if you want to form a super group of the most talented and creative, brave people ever, do it. It's just like, fuck yeah, that should always be your plan. Your plan should be to unite with people. Clint, I was on his channel, and we were talking about how veterans are still dealing with a housing crisis. They're still dealing with not being able to find beds in a homeless shelter or afford a house of their own. And I think about it, I think about it, I think about it. Because do you really want to be alone? Do you want privacy, or do you want to be alone? Sometimes those are two different things, because you can be a very private person and surrounded by people, or you could be alone and have no one around you. Personally, I want alone with no one around me, but Clint was bringing up a point of a community. What if you formed a community? There are veterans who are homeless, but what does that really mean? Does it mean that veterans are turning their backs on their own people? Or that veterans, for whatever reason, don't feel like they want to share? I'm a veteran, I don't really feel like I want to share. I get that. I completely get that. I also want to to fix that. I'm not going to fix it with these people because I don't like them. And they're not the kind of people I want to, marry. And that's what it feels like when you live in an apartment building. It feels like you're married to these people. Or you see, at least when you live in a house with your family, when you fight with your family, you fight with your family, but still they're related to you. You can look at their face and say, yeah, that's your father's eyes, or, just that's your mother's cheekbones. So therefore, we will squash what we have and we will try and get along. You're not going to get that with strangers. I mean, true, through adversity, you might be able to do that, but we have faced crisis after crisis after crisis in America. And every time we think, well, we'll come together or something will bring us together, it doesn't. 9/11 happened and people had a clear, the enemy looks like whatever, and we will fight against that. So we will be united against that. That didn't last. That really didn't last. Clint, you bring up a point. America hasn't taken care of veterans, but then again, veterans aren't being educated on how to take care of themselves. I had to make huge changes to my life because I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, but also because I'm a person who lives a solitary life independent from most people, services, and just pleasures that other people have easy access to. I don't go to restaurants anymore. I have to cook a meal. And I say it like that because when I do cook a meal, I am through the roof. I'm so excited. I am excited because it means that I somewhat gained a skill. I gained a skill, and some veterans, they don't have that. They don't have the skill to either cook for themselves or they don't have the money to cook for themselves. And that's where I think we need to have a conversation. We need to talk about how we're being treated. Timothy, that's nice to hear. I feel like we're not doing enough though. I know it's nice to say, well, if it's cold outside, then you can get a hotel room. Why should it even get to that? I know that it's unthinkable to some people to give hotel rooms to homeless people, but it's a room. It's a room with a bed, and there are people who need a bed, whether or not they can pay. The idea that housing is less communal and is always behind some sort of pay gate sickens me. It really does. And it sickens me that I'm not the type of person to share. I'm not the type of person to cook a meal, normally can feed 10 people and eat it all by myself. I hate that. I hate that. I hate it because I don't have 10 other people that I could trust. And two, even though I might eat for 10, it's still not enough. The meals I make are barely enough to keep me alive. Barely. I should be eating more than I am, and I can never afford it because food is way too expensive and nobody grows their own stuff. I try and grow my own vegetables, and yeah, I've had no success. I it's really, really difficult to grow your own vegetables, which is why people pay for that. They pay for the ability to say, look, you're an expert in it, can you do it, and then I'll just pay you for it. And that's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. I woke up today and I had this feeling that people are being miseducated, I guess, is they're being misinformed about what it means to live a life as an adult. Because you're taught that food comes from a grocery, whether your parents tell you this or not, but that's what you're being taught. And it's no, no, it doesn't. You know where the food comes from? It comes from a farm. It comes from a farm where they either had to raise animals or grow crops. Food comes from farms. It doesn't come from a store. It's delivered to a store. And there's a major difference. Timothy, I'm glad that, a five-star hotel for free, plus money and a phone for free. Sometimes people are homeless because of a bad circumstance. Some people are homeless because that's just how they want to live. And I don't know. I'm in a weird space. I really am, because I don't know if I really want to continue living in an apartment. I think I would be much happier living in a tent on my own land. I think I'd be so much happier. Just sit, drink some tea, and gaze up at the stars every day. I think that would be a much better life for me than living in an apartment, because I started this particular podcast with the discussion of, today I went outside without my hazmat suit. I did it mostly because I was just really rushed, and I said, what harm could it possibly do? It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Here I am thinking, oh, well, at least I'm fashionable. I've got my pearl crown on, and I look nice and everything. And I said, yeah, but a car just went by me and it blew its exhaust in my face. Someone is sitting in their car and they're just letting it idle, and all that car exhaust is just filling up the entire town. It made me feel gross and disgusted, because car exhaust never smells awful. It really doesn't. In fact, you feel a little happy and giddy because you just breathed in car exhaust. The only problem is that feeling of happy and giddy is oxygen being deprived from your lungs and you're suffocating. So that's what it feels like when you walk around in LA and you don't have a hazmat suit on. It feels like you're suffocating, because you are. The smog and the smoke and the car exhaust, it's just not healthy. It really isn't. And I will not get over this, but usually I avoid people when I go out with my hazmat suit because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to engage people because nobody wants to hear the truth. You hear the smog and you go, your eyes roll. Your eyes glaze over because you're just, I don't see anything. It looks like air to me. It's like, well, does it feel like air? I don't know if you heard it, but someone is just sneezing outside. Sure, it could be pollen, but it could also be that the little hairs in their nose are picking up the carbon monoxide and the body wants to expel it, but carbon monoxide and all of the soot and everything, it doesn't get out that easily. It sticks like grease. It greases up your nose. So this way you can't even taste your food. People are losing the ability to smell and taste food. Which is why they eat the same exact thing over and over and over and over again, because they can't taste the difference. They can't taste anything. They can't smell anything. This is why I consider myself a firefighter, because I know I'm not like super popular, but I'm not even trying to be. I'm just trying to educate people on real world, on the real world and life. I mean, I talk a lot about America, but it's the same exact thing in England. It's the same exact thing in Scotland. You think because you might live in a smaller village or whatever that it doesn't affect you, but it does. Every time you have car exhaust in your face, up your nose, through your ears, through your skin, you're poisoning yourself. And every time, and this is something that I'm glad I'm having such wonderful conversations with people like Clint, because it just reminds me that you need to help people. But the reason why I was talking with Clint is we started talking about venison and grilling and meat and all of that. And it reminded me of people used to cook outside. People used to have a communal fire outside where they would cook a feast for everybody. And somehow we lost that. We just did. And we thought that we were gaining something when we could say, well, I conquered the meat of the supermarket. I will cook it for myself. Ha ha ha. But really, you're cooking in a kitchen and most of you don't even turn the ventilation on. So therefore, you're cooking yourself inside and out. People don't talk about this. They don't. They watch shows like Downton Abbey and go, oh my God, the costumes and the fancy little accents. Are you learning anything? Are you learning anything? There was a kitchen and then you lived as far away from that kitchen as possible. Why? Because you don't want to breathe that in. In order to cook the meat properly, you are charring, you are carbonizing, caramelizing in some cases, fat and protein. And sometimes the conversion is just into denatured proteins, but sometimes it just goes straight into carbon. And sometimes when you're cooking your meat, you're actually cooking the air around your meat. So that air, which is dirty and polluted, that's on your meat. But nobody has that conversation. We have never had that conversation. The Surgeon General, this is why I wanted my medical doctorate. This is why I wanted my medical doctorate, because I was going to apply to be the Surgeon General, because I said improve health for Americans, you actually have to know Americans. You have to understand American culture. We talk a lot about cancer. We talk a lot about cancer research. Well, Einstein's, if it isn't something external, it has to be something internal, something that you're exposed to on a regular basis. And I think it's that. I think that if the CDC was ever a real agency and was patriotic in any way, they would actually do an investigation about how we prepare our foods and how the foods that are grown in certain ways lead to cancer. That's why I like me a nice rare steak. You're not really supposed to say it out loud, but there has to be another way. There just has to. I remember when I was in military training, they didn't cook the meat all the way, and it made me really, really sick. Really sick. Now, looking back at that, I should have made a bigger to do about it, but it's not that simple. It's not as simple as they didn't cook the meat well enough where, there was no pink that would make my stomach ill. It was also, my body had never really experienced that. I had no resistance to undercooked meat. There are whole cultures that evolved out of eating raw meat or close to raw meat or just meat in general. We talk a lot about, I talk a lot about Brazil and, where my family comes from. Brazil's food of choice has always been meat. They know meat, they know how to cook meat, they eat a lot of meat. And they are super healthy because their bodies have evolved into a way that they can just have a pure carnivore diet. I've been researching 18th and 17th century cooking so that I can cook better meals for myself. I think more people should. I think, no, it's not. I really do believe that the reason why we have so much difficulty with our health is because we stopped eating properly. Either we abandoned meat for a vegan lifestyle, or we stopped incorporating water into our food because we're too impoverished in order to do so. And even those who are really poor, they don't drink any water anymore. They think it's actually better for them to drink caffeinated beverages or just dry food from vending machines. It's something to think about. Eat healthy, right? I mean, your health should matter to you. I mean, you're the one who has to live it. So here we are. You know, I really want to take the opportunity to thank my fans who've been waiting with me. Well, I go through this ordeal of having my room inspected, but this is what life has become now. So I guess we just wait. I drink a lot of water, I drink a lot of coffee, and I drink a lot of tea. Well, you're smarter than most people. Most people have forgotten that water is more than just what you get from a faucet. It is fruit, it is vegetable, it is juicy meat. Meat is supposed to be juicy. But somehow we've all gotten accustomed to dry meat. Dry meat is safer, but it's not always the healthiest thing for you. Which is why I want my disability benefits, because then I might be able to go to school. I might be able to get the college credits that I need so that eventually I could apply to be Surgeon General. As a Surgeon General, you can issue statements about American public health to save our nation. Like I said, I will never forgive these people, but I'm still going to try and save your lives. I'm a vegan and battle through depression constantly. You think the two are related? I know most vegans talk about the sanctity of life and everything, and I agree, I 100% agree, but the reason why you eat meat is because it packs the nutrients in a way that is of a higher quality that your body can handle. Not to denigrate plants, but sometimes you need denser molecules. When it comes to something like protein, you need denser molecules. Because if you use plant protein, well, then you need to up your plant protein. And you need to up your fats. Because when you eat plants most of the time, most plants aren't fatty. They're really not. They're very lean because they don't need. Plants don't think about the cold like we do. Like when we feel winter coming on, we pack on some pounds. When plants see winter come on, they just say, I don't fucking need leaves. You need fat in your life. So yeah, depression is a brain response, a cerebral response. The brain is made of fat. You put the two and two together. I do feel exhausted all the time. It could also be low blood pressure. When you eat less meat, you have a healthier heart, but then you don't challenge your heart, so that your heart actually becomes weaker. So that's a huge problem with vegans that they don't think about most of the time. It's like you can eat healthier, but then you remove the stress and the pressure, so your heart doesn't have to pump as hard. And if your heart doesn't pump as hard, it's actually weaker. You kind of need both. And I know that I don't have a medical degree, so if you really want to do research on it, please consult your doctor who can explain it a lot better than a scientist who's going to Mars. But there you have it. I have a vegan family member and they're in terrible shape, honestly, both mentally and physically. I'm mentally and physically disabled, but eat mostly and have less trouble with my issues. Dietary preferences are a choice. You know, we can make a food pyramid and talk about dietary guidelines. It's not the same exact thing as having a personal nutritionist or being your own personal nutritionist. What works for one person doesn't always work for you. You should eat what you grow. I have a petition which Clint was very kind to sign, where I wrote a letter to Amazon asking them to choose their food vendors a little bit more carefully because some of the food was contaminated with cadmium, contaminated with arsenic, contaminated with lead and mercury and several other things that are cancerous, that affect your health. Now, it's true, they do warn you. There's a proposition that allows them to warn you of the danger of purchasing food. But if you're hungry and they're offering it to you at a cheap rate, what are most people going to do? They're going to eat it anyway. And that's just not good enough. It should never be good enough. I think most people would probably pay more to make sure that their food wasn't giving them cancer. Or here's a thought, ethically, don't give your customer cancer. Clint, you are far more educated than anyone I've known, ever. You know, take some pride for how much you've been able to figure out and how much you've survived when other people, they don't even try. But I'm glad to have such a caring chat and everything. I really like having all of you here. I'm stressed. I am stressed. But you can put your mind to a lot of things. You can put your mind to growing your own vegetables. I've got to figure out how to grow some vegetables on my own because I'm so hungry all the time and I never feed myself properly. Hold on. I have to secure my dog and then you may enter the premises. No, I'm ready now. 1 second. Hello. Alright, so I'm going to step aside here. So if anyone can just clear this way so we can get the dog through. Alright.
The dog's coming out. You can just wait. Thank you.
Alright.
You're good. Thank you.
Feel free to go through.
Thank you. Are you having any issues right now with anything?
No.
No? Okay. Your air conditioner working fine?
It is.
Okay. It's off the track.
Yeah.
Your closet's off the track. Is it okay if we adjust it?
It would be nice if someone could adjust
Yeah.
it. There was an earthquake and it shook.
Okay. Yeah,
So it got
he'll adjust it.
knocked off there.
I'm gonna have to come back and do this. I have to take off
Is that okay?
I would fill out a work order and have that
Okay, okay.
placed there.
Yeah, that needs to be fixed.
And then may I ask you to sign the inspection form that we just did the inspection?
You can
today?
put that right there and then I will fill that out.
So just the highlighted part, this is the unit number, your signature, and the date, okay?
Okay. Is good? Well, let me just test the,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
do you have any problem with the cold and hot water?
There was a time when the hot water was turned off.
But you're not having issues right now?
Not any,
Okay.
not anytime soon.
Okay.
Such a lovely song. Okay, thank you.
You guys want your phone?
Please fill out a work order for your closet, okay?
I'll have that done.
Thanks. This one's acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So that just happened. Now you see what I'm dealing with. Some strangers going through my cupboards, and I caught that on camera. This is how America treats a veteran? This is how America treats a veteran. They've done inspections before. They've never gone through cupboards. They've never opened up my refrigerator. So you want to explain to me why they would open up my refrigerator to do an inspection? Educate yourself, people. Educate yourself. You have rights. You always have rights. Now, if you'll excuse me, I feel dirty and disgusted with what I just had to go through. Complete invasion of my privacy. Complete invasion. This is how America treats veterans. Instead of living in a house by myself, like if you need to go into my cupboards, or you need to go to my refrigerator, get a warrant. I wasn't even going to speak up and say, hey, you need a warrant for that, because I have nothing to hide. But I do have the right to say no. No, you get a notice that they're coming over. So it's not exactly as if it was completely blind. Like I've known for at least a whole weekend that these people are going to be coming into my apartment. Probably before that. But that doesn't excuse having people come into your apartment to do an inspection. And yes, to repair things like a door that because of an earthquake came off the hinge. It's like, thank you, please repair that. But even so, do you really need to go into my cupboards for that? Do you really need to go through everything? Do you need to go into my refrigerator for that? Is your refrigerator functioning? Can I hear the refrigerator functioning? Do you have any issues with your refrigerator? Verbalize it. I don't know if you were able to see all of it. He went through my cupboards, he went through my closet, he went through my refrigerator, my freezer. There's a whole reason why they have a work order form where if you do have a technical issue, like the issue with the door, I mean, it's true, it would be nice to have it fixed, but I also really don't care. It's a door that I don't really use. It doesn't warrant having 3 people in my apartment. No, they did ask me, do you have any present issues? And I said no, because that door issue has been an issue since the last landlord was here, and I just haven't gotten around to do a work order in order to fix it. CT, I am stressed beyond belief, because I just had my apartment invaded, 100% invaded, and I am just violated. I'm violated and violated and violated again. How is the Kentucky thing going? I don't talk about the Kentucky thing enough. And I feel bad about that, but I do have the petition, change.org/Kentucky needs you, where it's a petition to stop the pollution of Eastern Kentucky rural communities in their drinking water. Many of them have depended upon their own artisanal wells, and there's a bill going around the Kentucky legislature which would allow them to pollute the water of these rural communities. How dare you? So please, sign that petition, change.org/Kentucky needs you, because I want to put a stop to that bill which would allow them to contaminate the water. And then I also want to send them fresh, distilled, and completely free of any BPA plastic. I want to send them water because they deserve to have fresh water. So how did your apartment get invaded? So I have an inspection. It's annual. It says it's annual, but it's legitimately every fucking 2 to 3 months these people come into my apartment building and they look around, they test the fire alarm, and it's like things like that are important. But I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. I had to put a sign that says, hey, you're going to be recorded. You're going to be 100% recorded. Why? Because I want to make sure you're safe. I want to make sure I'm safe. Because I don't trust random people in my apartment building. I really don't. Because when you put in a work order or something like that, most people, they take it as, oh, okay, well, fix it when you want to fix it. And it's like, no, you have to physically be there. You can't just say, hey, you're a stranger and you want to, bring tools or whatever to my apartment building, and I'll just let you do as you see fit. Because that same maintenance man, he was coming to my door right before I was locked out of my apartment and had to be out on the street for like 4 days. So no, I don't trust that man coming to my apartment, which is one of the reasons why I don't even bother about the stupid door. Because I said, I don't want him anywhere near my apartment. He just gives me a creepy vibe. I was considering getting a Ring camera. They don't like when you do stuff like that because, it exposes the fucking trickery. Because I don't know if you could see it, but because I walked out into the hallway, there was another woman there. And it's just, it's not fair because at least within your own apartment at like, I don't even know what time it is, but at this particular hour, it's very unlikely that I would be raped. But that isn't 100% certain. I'm afraid of being raped. I'm afraid of that. I have a valid fear of being raped. You should be able to have your own security. No, you should be able to have your own place. CT, you know, the whole idea behind a Ring camera is you don't trust what's on your property or near you. So there's a larger issue. When people talk about crime, they always say, well, thank goodness we have the police. It's like, no. Think, people, think. It's not just that you have the police, it's you also have crime. If you didn't have crime, you wouldn't need police. If you lived by yourself with no one around you and no one to bother you, would you still need the police? Some people might need emergency services, and I can understand that, but would you still need the police if you lived by yourself? But no, all of us made this deal with the devil, is the only way I can put it, of we will move into cities, we will move on top of each other under the guise of, well, at least if we're all in this one place, there will be less crime. No. No. What you want is a home. More than a home, you want a homestead. Everyone in this year, this century, they keep thinking tech is the way to go, and it's like, no, you have to go the other way. The more they get you to sit down and not participate in your own democracy, the more that you give it away. Just give it away. Because look what I had to do. Because I didn't want to lose having a bed and a place to cook a meal. I had to let 2 women into my apartment building. Not my apartment building. I keep saying apartment building, I mean my apartment. And then I'm forced into the hallway where there's another woman there, and that stresses me out. Thank you, CT, for coming by. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do wish it was a better podcast for you to have joined, but like I said, you know, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, I'm dealing with being violated and violated and violated again. And that's what America's doing to me. So, epic breadwinner, that's neither here nor there. I wouldn't even notice that. That's how fucked up I am right now. I don't even notice anymore because my body and my mind are just screaming, get away from me. But what can I do? Do I want to be that screaming veteran with the PTSD, get the fuck out, get the fuck out, get the fuck out? I said that I was going to do that, and then no, let it speak for itself. Let it speak for itself that illegal search and seizure, just a little workaround, legally a workaround for that. The last time they were here, I didn't even videotape it. I really didn't. Because I didn't think that it should come to that. Because it just never occurred to me, wow, you're just really going to go into my refrigerator. You're going to go into... And it's my refrigerator. It's my cupboards. It's my area, but it's not really, is it? America won't give me my disability benefits so that they can abuse me all the time. All the time. And easy access abuse victim. That's what LA got. Ian, do you exercise? And breadwinner, the reason why I didn't ban you for saying that is I want to address it. You know, I want to address some of the comments. They're upsetting, yes, but I still want to address it. Do you exercise? No, I don't. I really don't, because several reasons. I think mostly because it's be beautiful for what? For what? You know, am I trying to be beautiful to go pick up some guy somewhere? But I don't go outside, so what kind of relationship is that for someone? I mean, true, if they come over for sex, I mean, you want to have a nice body for that. But, you know, what if they say, I want to go to a restaurant, and you have to tell them no. I can't do restaurants. I can't do stores. I can't do any of it. Because I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, and I just want to be alone. So I don't exercise. I have to change my stance on that, because like I said, I am in a mood to try and rekindle my sexual fire, because I'm letting these women blow it out. I'm letting these people manipulate and control me, so I just become a domesticated little wolf for them. Because that's what they want. They want that for me, and they want that for you. When you are fat and out of shape and you think poorly of yourself, they can sell you things. Things you don't want and things you don't need. So if you do exercise, if you do want to get fit, just remember that you're doing it for you. Better start now. I know. I feel like I'm gonna try and get some by the end of the week, but I don't know if that's gonna be the case. And even then, it's not like I'm gonna have rippling abs within a week. But then again, do I want someone who only likes me because I have a decent body? Even for sex? I don't know. And thank you, CT, for saying it's always a good podcast. It's always a good podcast because somebody has to talk about freedom in America. They really do. Like, where is your freedom? Where is it? Because for the price of an apartment, I'm being abused. You can tell me that you were testing the hinges. You can tell me that they're really trying to make sure that the apartment is up to my standards. And that's all well and good for anybody else but me. I don't want this. What I want is my own place where if I want and there's something wrong, I will call my own maintenance person or whatever and say, hey, this is wrong, you know, take care of it. Not, well, we have to inspect your place every 2 to 3 months. It's too stressful to me. It's too stressful to me. I don't know why America does this. and thinks it's okay. They think it's okay to treat a veteran this way. That's disappointing. It really is. Which is why, like I said, I support the companies that I support because they're a force for good, but they don't get my eyeballs. They don't get me to participate in the products quite as much. Forced inspection doesn't feel right. Samo, any other person who wants that should have it. If you want the ability to have your apartment taken care of 24/7 and have any repair done, good for you, 100%. But if it comes at the cost of people going through your belongings under the guise of we're just checking the hinges and to see if the lights are on, then no. I don't want you in my apartment. I don't want you in my refrigerator. I don't want you in my cupboards. You know, America is fucked up in that way. It really is. Get yourself a warrant. If you want to go through my personal belongings, get yourself a warrant. Illegal search and seizure. Iran versus Israel, your take. Okay, you don't really want my opinion on that. Because my opinion of it has always been, I don't care about religion. I care about the sanctity of human life and the idea that you have a higher purpose, you have higher goals. Clint knows very well, and CT and all the people who've been regulars, that I am a huge advocate of Mars exploration, a huge advocate of freedom to be out of this system which has been ruining our health. Here, these two people, these two countries, whatever, you know, fighting over what? I don't even give a shit. Don't even tell me what the conflict is about when you have a whole planet that nobody lives on. And it needs people to live on it because this planet is so fucked. What are you gonna fucking do about your holy land when it's so fucking hot? Are you gonna pray as your eyeballs melt? Are you gonna pray during that? Because it's gonna get that hot. And you're still gonna call it a holy land when nobody can go near it then? I guess it's a really holy land. You will see God that day. People need to wake up and realize that you're fighting over nothing. You're fighting over something that should give you peace and solace, but it really isn't. It's just bloodshed. I mean, I joined the military because I'm all about bloodshed, but bloodshed for a reason, a real reason. Are there demonstrations in Los Angeles now? I don't live in Los Angeles. I thought I did at some point, but now I don't live in Los Angeles. I really don't. I wouldn't know. They're both religious fanatics, but free Palestine, goddammit. If you really want to free them from the nonsense of believing in countries. You really can't feed into this bullshit of, well, I drew a squiggly line here and then that's mine. Rise above that. Like, I don't want to have this conversation when people are starving. I don't want to have this conversation when people are uneducated. I want to have this conversation when people have everything, because then that's a real conversation. Absol, I don't think it's that simple either. I don't. I think it's more complicated because people want something to be angry about. When you're angry, you don't do anything. You just feel angry. Like right now, I feel angry about the situation where I was just invaded by two women who work it, obviously. But even so, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I want a house to myself. I want even a fucking tent. I want a tent to myself. So I can just say, Americans sexually abused me, and for that, I just don't have them near me. And this whole Israel-Iran thing, you don't really want to make a solution to that. You just want something to be upset about. Because then it gets other people involved. It just becomes a huge thing. It becomes your culture. So instead of being a culture that was based on a history and, you know, a community, it's just a country of people who are angry all the time. But either way, I want to thank everyone for having taken the time to come see me. I appreciate that. Freedom in America. Where is that?